Hello, and welcome to the STEM Program Audit Report. I am Nicole Marble, and I am also working with our Director of Curriculum, Ms. Jessica Ebert. We are going to walk you through our program review, which mirrors that of a curriculum review cycle, which is aligned to Policy 2210. In August of 2023, Ms. Ebert and I connected with Dr. Ilya Abdiv, who was identified as the auditor to review the current state of STEM programming in the Wauwatosa School District. The conduction of a comprehensive audit of the Wauwatosa School District early STEM programs employed a multifaceted approach to gathering a diverse range of insights and data through interviews, focus groups, observations, and surveys. Through this combined approach, coupled with the review of curriculum materials, demographics, and other data, the audit aims at capturing a holistic view of the school district's early STEM offerings, encompassing a wide range of experiences and viewpoints from key members of the educational community. In this presentation, key findings as well as broad recommendations will be presented. At this time, I'll turn this over to our esteemed auditor, Dr. Ilya Abdiv, to introduce himself as well as to walk viewers through the audit findings and recommendations.
Thank you, Nicole. It is my pleasure and honor to participate in this audit. I have been at UWM for close to 15 years, where I serve in different roles. I'm an incoming director of the Luber Entrepreneurship Center, also run Research Experience for Teachers program at UWM and the NSF Innovation Core program, and I've been an associate professor of mechanical engineering. I have experience working with teachers from MPS and the Southeastern Wisconsin School District on curriculum design, on bringing STEM into have a broader participation in STEM, and I believe that STEM education is critically important for the future of our students and ourselves. And I'm really appreciative of you choosing this collaboration with me. Let's take a look at the framework that we used for this audit. So we looked at different ways how to frame what's important in STEM education and how to develop it for the future. And one of the key findings or reports that we found that guided this audit was a comparison of 23 different countries that are leading STEM education. And so basically the report summarized 23 different audits over a period of time, about 10 years ago. And the goal of the report was to find what are some of the similarities and differences between approaches in Western countries, Eastern countries, on different continents when it comes to STEM education. STEM education is one of those things that doesn't have concrete standards, unlike science education. So definition of the STEM education really depends on your local circumstances and context. But there were four very consistent themes that made the best STEM countries when it's measured by test scores, measured by participation in STEM careers and other metrics that is kind of accepted by the world. The four consistent features were support for teachers, content rigor, focus on curriculum and pedagogy, and focus on inclusion. So these are the four, we decided to use this as 4 dimensions that we would analyze the current state of the STEM education at Wauwatosa School District, and also as a way to maybe develop the future state. So let's look at these dimensions a little bit closer. We start with the teachers and teacher support. So through the approach that Nicole mentioned earlier of surveys, interviews, observations, we kind of identified the pros and cons of the current state. So the successes, they focused on the fact that teachers really foster critical thinking in the students. And there is really high touch, kind of hands-on approach to pedagogy with a lot of, care and attention paid to the student needs in the classroom and outside the classroom. It's definitely been appreciated by parents, by students, by teachers themselves, and by administration. But there are certainly opportunities, and one of the key factors or key opportunities are communication between the different programs in a school district, communication between teachers in the same program, as well as going deeper on the individual disciplines and subjects that make STEM, which requires more extensive professional development, and there's an overarching theme that comes across this audit, that there's a need for clear vision and expectations set for the STEM program from the school district all the way to individual programs and classes. So let's look at the next dimension, the content rigor. What separates the best STEM programs in the world is that despite focus on STEAM, adding art to the STEM, despite the focus on creativity, despite the focus on developing soft skills, content rigor cannot be sacrificed. So, learning mathematics, learning physics, chemistry, biology, and other STEM disciplines cannot be sacrificed, and the rigor needs to be there in curriculum of each subject. So the successes in a school district include really amazing participation in the Future City competition. It's a project, the competition that allows to develop a lot of STEM competencies that are needed. There are facilities and foundation to build very rigorous program, including some physical facilities, but also curricular facilities as well. And if you look at the achievement data, we only had access to the elementary schools in this audit, but the students who graduate from the elementary STEM programs and WSTEM school are doing really well in terms of their achievements in proficiencies in individual subjects. So these are amazing things. But of course, there are opportunities. As I mentioned earlier, there's definitely need for a deeper dive into each discipline. And that was acknowledged by pretty much all of the stakeholders. There's also a noticeable absence of hands-on scientific activities, like lab activities or maker spaces. So this is something that can be looked at moving forward. You will certainly find more details in the report itself. Let's move on to the next dimension, which is curriculum and pedagogy. So this is the way how you achieve, really good STEM education. And successes, again, include focus on the future city. Flexible scheduling is something that is an amazing tool for educators to achieve certain things that they want to achieve. There's quite a bit of autonomy in some of the programs. So WSTEM school has a really a lot of autonomy in comparison to other schools. Multi-grade classrooms were found to be a positive. The opportunities, again, what I mentioned earlier in terms of the hands-on experiences, but also focus a little bit on contemporary STEM subjects and topics, such as robotics, AI, computer science. These are the things that, need to be somehow brought in. Technology needs to go beyond just the laptops and the tablet use. There needs to be more opportunities for students to interact with technology. And finally, the focus on inclusion. There's a strong recognition of the dedication of the teachers, administrators, to foster inclusive learning environment for STEM students at the district. However, there are certain opportunities, and the obvious ones, the ones that are on the surface and come up again and again in surveys and interviews, is the lottery system, which perceived to be inequitable and exclusive. There are stereotypes or perceived stereotypes among students, STEM and non-STEM students. There's a lot of voices that you will hear in the report that questioning why STEM program is only for a few in the district and not for everyone. And I think this is one of the biggest opportunities that we uncovered in this audit, is making STEM for all. And this actually mirrors or echoes findings of the global report on STEM education, where instead of focusing on bringing STEM to a few students who seem to be interested in STEM and become, extremely successful, engineers, scientists, and go on to top engineering or science schools, colleges, the better approach is to really lift up everyone and broaden that base of students who might not identify themselves as interested or strong in STEM, but if they got exposed to very rigorous and hands-on STEM education, they discover that passion, and it shows up in more participations of girls and women in STEM. It shows up in a much more diverse pool of students who end up performing really well in STEM in college and high school. Let's go to the next slide. So key recommendations, the three big themes is, number one is focusing on broadening STEM engagement and achievement. So definitely having a limited access to STEM is not is something that should be addressed by the school district, by the educators. Building awareness of STEM disciplines, STEM-related occupations. There is certainly lack of understanding of students of what is possible, and sort of like forming their identity as potentially being engineers or scientists or mathematicians. They need to see more of role models, and they need to be aware of multiple opportunities for their development. And of course, curriculum and pedagogy, they need to be changed somewhat if we want to make Wauwatosa students competitive when it comes to STEM education in Wisconsin, in the US, and globally. Nicole?
Thank you. So with that, like other audits, this audit now needs a response plan. So some driving factors that school district staff will need to wrestle with in developing a response plan is this call for a more crystallized version of STEM for all. And with that, we'll need to also consider what is our organizational capacity and financial implications for making whatever vision is developed come to fruition. So between now and this summer, late summer, early fall, that will be some of the work of the Division of Academic Performance in starting to work to frame out that vision for STEM for all. And with that, thank you for taking the opportunity to review this presentation. On Board Docs, you can also find an executive summary of the full report and a link to the full report that was conducted in this audit for review as well. Thank you so much.